Welcome to the learning module, How to Empower Learning for Your Employees. Did you ever ask yourself, what is the key for success in learning and development? Recent studies of brain scientists came out with interesting findings. Our brain can learn up to a high age. Even with 60 years, an employee can still learn something new. In science, this is called neuroplasticity. Positive emotions and feelings have a strong influence on the learning process. They work like natural fertilizers for learning. We are social people, and also the brain learns best when people experience respectful interactions with others. Motivation crashes when there is no chance for social support. Did you know that feelings like fear, stress and negative emotions block all those regions which are needed for explicit learning? The most common trigger of anxiety and stress is the negative assessment of one's own performance by other powerful people, mostly the boss. This means that your actions as a manager have a direct impact on the stress level of your employees, and as a consequence also on their ability to learn. But just focusing on learning is not enough. Most important for sustainable learning success is the transfer into practice. Brain scientists call it use it or lose it. It means that the brain develops depending on how it's used. It works like a muscle. Constant training by repeating and practical exercises are the logical consequences.
Like in a fitness studio, there is different training equipment available to learn and remember new things. For example, just reading has a retention rate of only 10%. Audio-visual material doubles it to 20%. Watching a demo will lead to 30%. This is why you should deliver your learning modules in an audio-visual design, best enriched with demo videos, and with insider tips for practical exercises. But still, the very best way to memorize knowledge and develop it to competence is practice. This is only topped by teaching others. We highly recommend you to give your employees the chance for practical exercises. And maybe they can even share their knowledge with other colleagues. This will create a win-win situation for everyone. If you want to get most out of your learning modules, we recommend you to create best fit learning modules. This is what you should consider. Make sure that you choose achievable learning objectives for your employees, so they can reach the goals. Provide them only relevant content. The closer it is to their daily work, the greater the transfer. Give your employees sufficient time to learn. Make sure that they also have the chance for repetitions and practical exercises. Create an open and trusting atmosphere for working and learning. To get a rough idea about the possible needs for further training, it is useful to allocate your employees' overall performance to this matrix. In this example, we take two performance indicators from a printing company. The specific indicators are, first, the quality of their work in general. Second, the speed, how fast do they finish their print jobs. Example: Peter. He is the best printer. The print quality is always very high and the press is well maintained. He also has the highest production speed rates in the press room. Robert. He is also quite productive. But he often needs more waste sheets, and recently some customers complained the quality of the print jobs, which have been produced by him. Marta. She always produces an outstanding print quality. But she takes also a lot of time to reach this quality. Make ready take long, and during production she runs the press too slow. She needs to become more productive. A learning module about how to speed up make ready or optimized paper run may help her to improve her performance. The probability that your employees will compensate a lack of skills fast and effective depends on two factors. First, their willingness or motivation for learning. Second, their current skills or competence. You can use this matrix to determine a score from 1 up to 5 for both factors. For example, let's take a look at Paul. He is quite new in the company. His willingness to learn is very high. You would rate it with 5. But in the last weeks you realized that he is not so experienced as you expected it before. Therefore you will rate his skills with 3. His colleague is Ward. He works for more than 10 years in your company. He is quite experienced, but sometimes you observe little knowledge gaps. Overall you rate his skills with 4. His motivation for learning and development is not so high. You rate it with 2. Question. On whom of them you would focus your learning and performance coaching activities first? The Gallup organization has identified 12 questions regarding the loyalty of employees, including their motivation and willingness to perform and to be productive. Beside the basic needs, the most important general factors are support from the management, team support, and the experience of personal growth. These are the 12 questions by Gallup. Question number 6 and number 12 are directly related to learning and personal development. A good working climate has a large impact on the employee's overall motivation. The motivation to learn, adapt new skills and change for better highly depends on the personal engagement of employees. But this alone is not enough. There should be also the right amount of pressure to perform better. As a manager, you have a large impact on both the motivation and the pressure. A good dosage of both together will raise the probability to change. But let's start with the worst-case scenario in a corporate environment first. At the bottom end is the dead zone. Your employee has no motivation and there is also no pressure from outside. Changes will not happen. Next one is the depression zone. There is some engagement and some level of pressure. But both is not too much. Only very little change may happen. Then there is the panic zone. Employees often get pushed into this zone when they stayed before a long time in the depression zone and the management now starts to create lots of pressure on them. The probability to change is still quite low. Let's move into the comfort zone. This is a good amount of motivation and pressure, which will lead to a higher probability of change. It's quite nice to be in this zone, but that's not the end of the flagpole. The optimum is the stretch zone. You rise the pressure slightly up when your employees are in the comfort zone. This stretching allows them to get into the so-called flow state. Individual performance coaching is very helpful to get into this stretch zone.
Alright. Let's summarize the 5 key factors for successful learning in a corporate environment. First, create an open and respectful working climate. Second, stress less and achieve more for you and for your colleagues. Third, 3. Identify the individual needs and create best-fit learning modules. Fourth, get a realistic picture of the overall competence and motivation of your people and your organization. And fifth, set relevant and achievable learning goals, and create the needed space and time for transfer into practice. We wish you a great learning experience. Of course, we are happy to support your learning and development activities. We know how motivation and learning flourishes, how to reduce stress, build resilience, and unveil people's full potential, and how to spot strengths and convert them into performance. Please take a look at our unique ecosystem of corporate learning to find out more about learning in times of digital work.